also a board member of a group called FIRE, which stands for Florida Indigenous Rights and Environmental Equality. And that's enough about me. Let's jump right into the presentation. What I wanted to talk about today was not only being a solar consultant, but being an energy consultant. So what I'd love to ask everyone is that please put your questions in the chat if you have any during the presentation, and hold your questions until the end, and then we can dive into anything that you want to ask questions about. So you know, one of the biggest things that we do is obviously try to position ourselves as a energy expert, right? And making sure that we are able to provide value to our customers, because of course we're out there up against a million different other organizations that are trying to do the same thing that we are. And there has to be some kind of separation between us and the other companies. And I think that it's really important not to just be a solar consultant, but to be an energy consultant. Can I get a thumbs up from someone if they can see my screen? Awesome, thank you, thank you. Okay, cool. The power of discovery. I really find that where the magic happens is in discovery, and the more that you can dig in the questions that a client has, the better that you can serve them through the entire process. So asking multi-layered questions, that's something that really I dig into. I go 2, 3, 4 layers deep in terms of questions about, why they're interested in solar, what their energy usage is, if they have specific needs, desires in the future. Because if you don't do that, what I find is either you're doing a lot of revisions, or someone else does that with another competitor when they go to get another bid, and you lose that because you didn't do your research. Active listening, this is something that I find is very important as well, to make sure that we are really not doing a lot of the talking. We are asking a question, we're listening, and then we're asking a follow-up question, and not really trying to provide answers in that moment in time, but just dig into why are they talking to us? What are their goals? What are their energy needs? Not only in that moment, but down the line. Do they want to get an electric car on the net? Taking your time, that not rushing the discovery process is really important. I rather spend 45 minutes talking to them about discovery, and then when we get to the solar presentation, spending half of that time really answering their questions and talking about really digging into what their concerns are. It really, for me, it allows me to have the back end be so much easier, because at the end of the presentation, they don't have any questions. They feel like they've gotten everything done that they needed to and everything answered, and they don't feel like they are, there's like something that is just like holding them back from making the decision. Asking energy related questions, not just solar related questions in discovery. So do you have LED light bulbs? Do you have a smart thermostat? Do you have any plans to get an electric car? Are you going to put in a pool soon? Do you have a pool? What kind of pool pump do you have? Because all of these questions can go into their energy usage and consumption. And we can provide real value if we can actually do recommendations and give them recommendations on how they can save money, not only by going solar, but also reducing their energy usage. So the proposal presentation. When I get to this, I don't just talk about solar, I talk about energy. So I give recommendations like I was talking about before, based on the research that I've done between the discovery and the first conversation and the proposal. Now, everyone does the sales process differently. The way that I do it is I set up an appointment and I do an education-only presentation and conversation. I do discovery, I do a bill review, I do energy conversation, and I educate them about solar. And then I ask them at the end of the conversation, do you want to look at a proposal? I don't just put a proposal together and present it, because I find that when you edge end, you don't have all these objections and questions on the back end. Also provide context. I provide context on when I'm going through the solar presentation on why we chose these panels, why we chose this inverter, and also on why I'm recommending that they do this, this, and this in their home to be able to get the best energy efficiency and the best out of their solar system. So here's a case study. This is a contract that the homeowners are signing the contracts today as we speak. A family in Chicago. They live in a old house, so it's not energy efficient. It was built in like 1890. They have a pool with a single speed pump. Now, for those of you who don't know about pool pumps, single speed pumps are incredible energy hogs. And the only reason I learned this is because I actually did another proposal with somebody else, and I did a bunch of research to find out that there's what you want to do is you want to recommend that they go to a variable speed pump. I'll give you an example. These homeowners were using 2,400 kilowatt hours a year from their single speed pump. With a new variable speed pump, they're going to use 300 kilowatt hours total a year. A massive, massive, massive savings. And when you give that kind of recommendation to them, that they can go out and spend $700 or $600 and get a new pool pump that's going to save them that much money every single year, you position yourself as not only a solar consultant, as the energy expert, and they're going to really trust you to be able to walk you through this process. They hadn't transitioned to 100% LED light bulbs. And this was another thing. They're at about 25% LEDs in their home. And that was another huge savings. And then they also had an HVAC problem. The only reason that I learned this was because I dug into their electric bill. I saw that their usage for August and September of the previous year was way higher than this year. And I asked the question, why was this going on? Well, because we had a pool pump issue. Our pool pump was running 24 hours a day, 365 or 24 hours a day for 30 days straight. And we had an HVAC issue. So they, I recommended that they get that fixed, and they are going to move ahead and do that. So the recommendations that I gave them were to replace all their lights with LEDs, install a smart thermostat, get a variable speed pool pump, and get their HVAC fixed. Now, I utilized a couple of different tools to be able to calculate all of this stuff that I wanted to share with you. So let me change my screen to, okay, so this is an LED calculator. I will get this out to Rachel so she can put it in the drive with the notes for the training today. This is an LED savings calculator. It's pretty cool. So he had 25 lights in his house that he didn't change over. The existing lamps were 60 watts on average, and the new lamps that we were looking at were 9 watts. And he said he used them for about an average of 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. And his cost per kilowatt hour is about 11 cents. So you just drop all that stuff in. Look at the savings here. They're using 4,300 kilowatt hours with the non-LEDs. The new LEDs, 655 kilowatt hours. That's like 3,000 plus kilowatt hours that you're saving there, plus the 1,500 kilowatt hours that you're saving with the pool pump. And the reason why I went down this road is because this system that we were able to offer them is only a 55% offset system. So they're using 20,000 kilowatt hours a year, which even for a 4-bedroom house is insanely high. So I was trying to work with them to try to close the gap between the 11,000 kilowatt hours that we're using that they're producing with the solar system with 20,000 kilowatt hours. So they're saving even more money in the long run. The other thing that I did was I did research on the utility company. This is great information for folks who want to sell in Illinois. ComEd has this amazing thing. They have all these rebates, and they actually have a ComEd marketplace that applies the rebates right away. So this $249 Ecobee Wi-Fi smart thermostat is 99 bucks on here for ComEd uh, participants, for ComEd users. Excuse me. Also, they have rebates. So, for instance, they have a pool pump rebate. This is a $275 pool pump rebate. So they're buying an $800 pool pump. They're actually going to get 275 bucks off the top by applying for this Energy Star rebate. So really digging in and looking to see if the utility has rebates can be really awesome. So they were on the fence. So how did I close them? Now, of course, this is not something that everyone has to do, but this was my choice because I truly believe that when I've positioned myself as the expert and these people are going to send me a lot of referrals, I offered them to cut them a check for 800 bucks out of my pocket to buy a new pool pump, to put in LEDs, and to buy a smart eco thermostat. They jumped on it, and they're signing the contracts today. So I use that as a tactic because they were sort of ink about it because of the difference, because they were going to have to pay two bills. And now they feel like they're really getting more for their money. And I know that this is going to turn into a referral machine for me and a really good relationship with them. So the takeaways from this: ask a lot of questions and don't just ask solar questions. Research, utility rebates, energy efficiency upgrades, and be prepared and stand out as an energy expert by making recommendations. All I have. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me, and I'll open it up for questions. Let me answer.
Hey, that was awesome, Justin. I don't know if you guys can you hear me okay?
Go ahead. Rachel, are you there? Hello.
We can hear you, Rachel.
Oh, okay, I wasn't sure. Sorry, my thing cut out. Hey, that was so amazing, Justin. I love everything that you were saying. I appreciate you again sharing that. We will get this up in the Google Drive tomorrow as soon as Justin sends it over. And on top of that, I didn't quite catch this, but how did you end up sizing the system after you got their usage nailed down with all the efficiencies? Did you downsize the system to their future usage, or did you keep it the same and give them a buffer?
I kept it the same and gave them a buffer. I basically presented the proposal, and then afterwards I said, I have some additional energy efficiency recommendations that I would like to make to be able to close the gap between the 20,000 kilowatt hours you're using and the 10,000 that you're going to be able to get from your solar system. And I basically laid out this LED, the variable speed pool pump, the other things off, and then offered them the incentive of the $800 check at installation, and they were just like, absolutely.
Which is so amazing that you did that, because that is definitely something as an independent contractor you guys are able to do. If you want to build it into your margins because you know you're going to do that as a referral fee yourself or an added bonus or extra incentive, I think it's a super smart way to differentiate yourself from the competition. So great job. I'm going to leave it to everybody else now to ask any questions or offer any feedback. Thank you.
Sure. Any questions, anybody?
Hey, this is Melissa. I do have a question. It doesn't necessarily pertain to what you just taught us, which, by the way, that was absolutely amazing. Something that I haven't thought of, but I'm excited to get that calculator, that LED calculator, you know.
Oh yeah.
And
awesome.
Yeah, and I think that'll be great. And I'm gonna definitely use that to add that for my clients to show them the difference. And then I like the idea of saying, you know, if you choose to go solar with me, I'd like to help you become energy efficient. And let's replace all those light bulbs. I'll buy you the LED bulbs. You know, let's get you on your energy way. Then my question is for you or Rachel or anybody. I have a guy that we designed his system, and it's already at 109% offset. That in my energy conversation, like we were just talking about, he was like, oh, I'm going to be, doing an addition with the music room, and I'm going to be having amps, and I know that's going to be pulling a lot of energy and all of this kinds of stuff. And so he really wants me to overbuild the system, and he wanted me to add 2 modules. So that takes him up to about 118%. Is that something that people have done before?
What market are you in? What utility?
That's Northern California. So then this was also interesting.
That's
when I
PG&E?
PG&E, yeah. So I definitely changed what the utility bill was. So I'm assuming there's a cutoff for that net metering.
Yeah, no, you're fine in PG&E. They allow, you can almost go.
Oh,
Hello, can you guys still hear me?
yeah, you kind of
Sorry,
cut out.
sorry, somebody tried to call through. You're fine in PG&E as long as they understand that they'll probably have to fill out a load justification form for PG&E when they go to interconnection. That'll happen with the installer if they feel like they need that. But I would even go a little higher if he's comfortable with it, to give him a little bit more energy during peak times, because once they go to net metering 2.0 in PG&E up in Northern California, they will switch to a time of use structure, which means they'll have a structure that's either 3 or 4 p.m. to 8 or 9 p.m. and the sun will go down, and that means they'll be pulling from peak rates to give them a buffer. A lot of people, if they're not having a battery to pull from to load shift, they're actually oversizing systems on their last 12 months by like 15 to 20%, just to give them more energy earned during peak times to help fold them over during non-peak times. Does that make sense?
So it does. So maybe even look at putting one more. Right now I added 2 modules to get to 118. So you're saying maybe add 3 modules?
I'm saying maybe go up to about 125 to 130% offset, however many modules that takes.
Okay, great.
So that would be, I mean, if the cost, if that doesn't push the customer out of his comfort zone on the price, you know what I mean? But explain to them that you want to have more.
In the
Sorry.
energy audit, he got very excited about thinking about all these things that he wants to be doing, that he knows is going to take a lot more energy. Like, he has really old appliances that he's looking at replacing, and they're all natural gas. So if he's going to go solar, he wants to replace it with electric stuff. So like an electric water heater.
Be careful with that part of the conversation, just because when you do go all electric, it does use an obscene amount more energy to use like an all electric heater or an all electric, washer and dryer kind of thing. It does, just position that a little bit. Just be careful
so
with the expectations that they can still pull a true up.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, somebody mentioned in the chat, you got to know your utility and what their requirements are, because certain utilities will be very fixed. You cannot go above a certain percentage or offset of their last 12 months. Some are like PG&E, a little bit more lenient. So just make sure you're doing that research. Does anybody else have anything they want to add to that or ask any other? Cool, you guys. Again, I just want to say again how amazing that presentation was from Justin. I mean, it's a lot of stuff that we covered in the past when I first came on. There are some slide decks in the Google Drive. If you don't have access to our Google Drives and you're on this call for the first time, please email me. I will grant you access to a bunch of different resources, but just said I'm super crush it. Somebody wants to share. All right, with that, go for it. Go ahead, Justin.
You broke up there. That's all I was about to say.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say, yeah, I'm a badass and I love sharing my presentation. So thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to share. I appreciate it.
I love it. If anybody else has something cool they want to share with the group and wants to get on the schedule with me for like a guest speaker opportunity, I would welcome that, because I think it's a really great way for us to learn from each other and just to see how different people do their sales process. It's really helpful. We're all in different markets, and I just want us to feel like we're not on an island by ourselves.
I have a question, Rachel. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah. My question is, maybe Justin can answer this